Hey Flosstube, my name is Veronica and this is my 26th Flosstube video. Welcome if you're new, thank you for joining me. If you don't know what Flosstube is, it's generally about cross-stitch and other related crafts. My channel is Veronica X Stitch, is mostly about cross-stitch. That's just about all I'm doing these days, and that's all I have for you today. Today is Sunday, June 21st, 2020. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, although I probably won't post this till later today, but if you see it, happy belated Father's Day if you see it after today. I've been doing lots of stitching lately, and I'm going to show you my whips now. So, my first one is, so this one I showed in my last video, because I was working on it at the end. I also worked on the beginning of this sort of section in the past month. This is Mermaids of the Deep Blue by Mirabilia. And that's what it looks like when it's done. So I am stitching this one on, oops. So I'm going to hold it, let's see. I don't know if I did top to bottom or side to side before, so I'm going to take a guess and do like side to side so you can kind of see before and after since my last video compared to where I was last time. And this is where I'm at now. So I finished the top half of this whole chart. I was worried, if you saw some of my last videos, I was worried about margin. As you can see, I'm good here. So yeah, 28 count, sorry, I was starting to say 28 count casual linen in Serene by Picture This Plus, and it's kind of like a beachy, like green sort of. So I think it looks really good on this, and I'm, again, thrilled that I have enough margin. And I started in the middle, so it should be similarly spaced out on the bottom. Everything but the beads in the top half of the chart are stitched now, including the metallic, the Krynic, and Petite Treasure Braid. I used Petite Treasure Braid for the blues because they didn't have the Krynic in. I thought it was good. I also don't mind Krynic braid much either. It's hard to tell in this room. I'm in my son's bedroom today because my kids are awake, and it's nice lighting in here actually, so hopefully you'll get some true to color. Anyway, everything else is as called for. The skin I am doing 2/1 Continental Tent. I think it gives it a much smoother look, but same DMC called for colors. And I did the back stitching too, as you can tell, so I like the way it's turning out. So yeah. Next I'll have to move on to the bottom half. But I'll put this one away for a little bit because I pulled out some other projects in mine. So the next one that I would like to show, I don't know if these are in the right order, but after that I picked up this one. This is the castle. It's glary. Let me show you with a bigger picture in here, because inside the book they have a better picture of it. This is the castle by Teresa Wentzler. It's on the cover of and inside of this book, the Best of Teresa Wentzler Fantasy Collection Volume 1. So maybe this will be a little, no, it's still glary in here. Okay, well, see, it's a castle with a dragon around it. Kind of one of her more well-known designs, I think. So the kids are wanting to come in because they want to get the camera. Normally I film early in the morning, and I looked at my last video and I was so sleepy. So I don't want this video to appear sleepy. Anyway, I am doing this on, so I finished the top right section. Let me do side by side again. You can see compared to where I was last time. So the top right section is done, including the dragon's head and all of the back stitching. This is on so I ordered for this fabric for this a 32 count Mercedes even weave. I think it's Lugana from Picture This Plus. I measured it and it's a lot smaller than that. It was about 33 count up down and 39 or yeah, about 39 left right. I think that's just because I had it on my stretcher bars when I was doing that, just stretching it up top to bottom. But I sincerely wonder, I mean, it could have been that the dye really shrunk it down quite a bit, the dyeing process, but I also wonder if they gave me a 36 count. But either way, it's okay. I'm still doing so I'm doing this, I don't know how well you can tell in here, but I'm doing this using the blending filament on her website. And so it's slightly different than called for, but otherwise Can you see the sparkles in the dragon? The dragon's almost all got blending filament over it. And I said before, I don't mind working with Krynic braid, but blending filament's another story. That's a bit of a pain. And I think if I had to do this again, or if I want to do this again, I'm not doing the blending filament one. It's turning out real pretty, but it's just making it take like double the time for those stitches. So next, and this is most recently. I haven't even posted this one to Instagram yet, but my Instagram is vdancer0304. I tend to post when I like switch a project, but for my dragon, I was posting a picture as I like did the dragon's head, you know, and then I backstitched it. I kind of like doing that, but I don't know if you guys like it. Hopefully you do. Next one that I worked on was this one. This is European Bistro by Dimensions. I hear my son sniffling outside the door. Malcolm, I hear you.
I see you.
You see me. Oh, you're looking at me under the door? Anyway, so I picked that up, and this is on the everything called for from the kit, including the 16 count blue, grayish blue Ada. Hold this over here so you can see before and after. So I'm working down the left-hand side of the picture, and it's about, this to here is about 3/4 of the way down. So it's going to go down another quarter or so till I get the bottom. But I'm doing the back stitching as I go, and I think it's turning out nice. It's a lot of detail in here, and sometimes when I'm stitching it, I don't know what I'm stitching, and I back off of it, and I'm like, oh, it's like a little doorway in here, and this is a bookshelf, and I don't know what this is, like a crystal ball or something. Obviously all these pictures on the walls are kind of neat too. But this is like, I think, a little either bookstore or picture store or tchotchke shop, and over on the rest of the chart is where the restaurant is, because it's called European Bistro. But anyway, that's that. In this particular chart, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but do you ever like start something and you think, oh, that's not so bad? And then you're like, I'm not even 1/4 of the way done. This is bigger than I thought. That's the way I was starting to feel with that one, and then I realized it's time to switch projects. So I just put that one away this morning, and so I do have one other thing to show. So, oops. This is going to glare probably, but this is Super Mario by Choco Coco Stitch on Etsy, which I will link below. I'll link things below if I can, or describe them in more detail. And I am stitching this on a 14 count
I hear you.
I hear you too. 14 count touch of blue Ada. Let's see, I'll go down below for this one because it's more wide. But do you see how I'm starting to fill out Mario's body here? Zoom in a bit more. So I'm working on this as like a travel project, and it's like kind of dirty and stuff. I'm gonna have to wash this thing when I'm done. But when I take my son to his drum lesson, I also took it to the vet last week with me. In both of those cases, I have to sit in the car, you know, bless you. I have to sit in the car while I'm waiting, and so I just figured, hey, I'll bring something along to stitch. Funny story, I'm not really used to stitching in the car, so and I feel like if you're like knitting or crocheting, you don't have that much to bring, but for cross stitch, there's a lot of little things that you have, and so I have like, you know, I have this little bag that I carry all of my stuff around in. Like I carry an extra pair of scissors, a needle threader, one of those, like, here, let me show you, little orc bag, one of those like 6-inch sewing, what do you call them, measure ruler thing, because I measure all of my pieces. I do 18 inches or 36 inches depending on the loop starting. It makes it nice and easy for blends and stuff, although this piece has no blends. You know, a couple of bobbins of DMC for what I need. So just like all the little things that you have, right? So I made like 8 stitches last weekend on this, and realized I made a mistake. So I was like, oh, I have to frog. So I put stuff down, and normally what I do with my needle is I just, you know, kind of wave it through here. I didn't have a magnet with me, so I was kind of like trying to get as much stitching done as I could because I was waiting for my cat. And I set it down on the console in my car, and the next thing I know, it rolled off between the console and the seat, And so I was just like, okay, that's all the stitching. I'm going to get it done this time because I'm like digging around trying to find it. You know, my fingers are too fat to get down there between the seat and the floor and the track that the chair is on, you know, in the passenger seat. And so I was like, oh, I give up. So I put everything else away. And since I didn't have a magnet, I was like, I'll just use a magnet to pick it up when I get home. Because I could see it in there. I just couldn't get it, you know. And then when I got home, I realized, oh, I have like, where is it? Like a needle case with a bunch of other needles. So it was all that for nothing. I've like a dozen needles in here. So I would have been able to continue stitching had I not been obsessed with the fact that one of my good tulip needles had fallen down. And I did go back with the magnet and pick it up later. And now I keep a magnet with me too. It's handy. So that's all I have for my whips. I had a few Etsy purchases, but I haven't printed them out yet. Things that for my kids. So I used to crochet a bit more. So I made some amigurumi stuffed animals. I don't know if you know what those are, but it's like little tightly crocheted, like little stuffed creature basically. And I made some for my kids and they wanted me to make more. And so I found some free patterns online for like a Bowser and a Yoshi. And then my kids were like, oh, I want you to make those. And I printed them off and I bought all the yarns and I just don't really feel like crocheting anymore. Like, so they keep asking, when are you going to work on my Bowser and my Yoshi? And I'm like, maybe I'll cross stitch you something instead. So I looked with them on Etsy, found a couple of small patterns that I could start and finish probably within a couple of days. And I haven't printed them off yet though. So I'll show you those next time because I'm also waiting for an order from 123 Stitch to have a couple of small pieces of Aida fabric to go with them. So yeah, I'll show you all that probably next time if I remember. But I do have one thing that I ordered on Stash Unloading, and it's this Butternut road chart called Earthdancer. Oh, shiny, glary. Sorry, I saw somebody had stitched this once, and it was really pretty. So it's got some markings on the chart, but that's okay. It was relatively cheap, and it's yeah, Butternut Road is one of the Marilyn Leavitt emblem companies, design companies. And she was Nora Corbett's mother. You guys probably all know that. If you watch me, you probably like Mirabilia. But anyway, yeah, so I thought that one might be a fun one to stitch someday. Someday. I have a lot more coming in the mail that I will probably be showing you in future videos. It's just the mail is slow now, so you know how it is. So that's all I have for this time. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and taking care of one another and thinking critically, and Black Lives Matter, and I love you all. See you guys next time. Bye!
Hi there. Thanks for watching me, Mommy. Papa, can I show you what I got?
That was my son. He wanted to be in the video. Bye!